Stephen Gerard, age 54.
And where do you live?
I live in Belmar, New Jersey.
And who do you live with?
I live with my wife, and we have 3 kids, 2 of which are out of the house.
Okay, and what are the kids' names and your wife's name? Your wife's name, sorry.
That's all right. My wife's name is Lori, and our 3 kids are Stephen and Samantha and Zachary.
Okay. And where did you grow up?
I grew up at an early age in Newark, New Jersey, and then when I was in 3rd grade, we moved to Cedar Grove.
And what was it like growing up in Cedar Grove?
Cedar Grove was great. It was kind of your classic, small town America, Leave It to
Mhm.
Beaver kind of town.
Yeah.
It was just a great place to grow up. It was small enough where you knew just about everyone, but not so small where it was, too small.
And I know your siblings said that your dad would like call you guys in with a cowbell and like y'all knew that was for you guys, like the ring would like that sound was for you guys to go home and eat dinner.
Yeah, either he or my mom would go on the porch and ring this obnoxious. It was actually a bell. It was actually a bell. Uh,
Oh, okay.
like the kind of bell you'd ring like in church or something, but a big one. It wasn't a cowbell per se, but yeah, that
All
was
right.
one of the many embarrassing things I guess parents do.
And so growing up, what would you say was your childhood ambition?
My childhood ambition was I always wanted to be in business. I always
Hmm.
said to people I was that kind of kid in line very young at a hot dog stand, and I would wonder, how much how much the hot dog vendor made, how many hot dogs he sold, and how much it cost them to buy his hot dogs, and what his rent
Wow.
was. I was always that geeky kind of business kid.
Hmm. And so what's your profession today?
I'm an entrepreneur in different
Okay.
businesses, so I kind of, I guess, lived my dream or my prophecy.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say is your greatest accomplishment today, to date?
Uh, Without question, my family. So
Yeah.
meeting my wife, Lori, we're going to be married 30 years this year, and we have
Nice.
3 great kids who we just enjoy being around and hanging out with, and it seems they enjoy being with us and hanging out with us too. So I'd say our family.
Yeah. And so where are you right now? You said you're in New Zealand?
Yeah, I'm in New Zealand. My wife and I took a month-long trip, a mix of business and a mix of pleasure to Australia and New Zealand.
Awesome. And what's it like there? What's it like there today?
The weather's great. It's kind of like a September day in New Jersey. It's
Oh,
the end of their summer, and they've
mm-hmm.
got another month or two of pretty good weather.
Cool. And what would you say something great that's happened to your life or the family this year? Some exciting news or anything?
This year,
Yes.
you said?
Yeah.
Um, I would say from my family's perspective, uh, our oldest son got married in October. His twin sister's getting married in April, and our youngest son is graduating in May. So there's a lot of good
Lot.
things from our family's perspective. I say from our
Mm-hmm.
broad family perspective, my sister Geraldine having her baby son Jack was probably the highlight of the last year and a half for the whole family.
Mm-hmm. Good. And so about your mom, who is Doris?
I think my mom is just a hardworking, independent, steady Eddie kind of woman. She's a very strong woman. She's kind of from that era where,
Mm-hmm.
you just get it done. You don't complain about anything. My mom's the kind of person, she could walk in with a broken leg and she'd be like, it's all right. It'll be better tomorrow. She's just a
Yeah.
very tough minded, interested, caring mom.
Yeah, she keeps it moving.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Yeah. And who's in the Gerard family? I know you have siblings. Can you name everyone and where you fall?
Yeah, so we're all 4 years apart in terms of my mom and dad's kids. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
54. My brother Neil is going to be 50 in May. My sister Geraldine is going to be 46 in April, and Allison will be 42 at the end of June.
Nice. And when you think about when you were younger, when you were a little boy, What's your earliest memories of your mom? What do you think back to?
My earliest memories of my mom are probably two things jump out. One is she walked me back and forth to Sacred Heart Cathedral School when we lived in Newark. So she literally would walk me to school in the morning, and got it. It had to be a half a mile or a three-quarter of a mile walk each way. So she'd
Mhm.
walk me to school, then she'd walk home, then she'd walk, get me lunch, come back, and then she'd walk and get me and bring me home. So my early memories are just, her, kind of just doing it when I had to go to Sacred Heart Cathedral in Newark, which back then was a good school to
Mhm.
go to, et cetera. And then the other one is my mom was actually early in her career, and then she picked it back up for 25 years, and she just retired. She was a legal secretary, which I know she was very proud of. I just remember early memories of her typing enormously fast, like
Mhm.
almost inconceivably fast.
Mhm.
She worked on a book with a judge. I think his name actually was Vanderbilt. So he was a really important judge in New Jersey, maybe even federally. And he wrote a book, and I think he asked my mom, because she worked at the law firm that he was at. He asked my mom to type the book for him. So I think he would dictate it. He would send her tapes,
Wow.
audio tapes,
Mhm.
and my mom would type up the book, and then she'd print it out and send him transcripts and stuff. So I just remember her typing like it was unbelievable.
Yeah. And he had to trust her to write his story the right way, with all that
Yeah, no,
information.
it's she. Anyone she's ever worked with has a lot of affection for my mom, because I think she's just a hard worker and buckles down and gets stuff done. Frankly, I think if
Mhm.
my mom grew up in a time and a household where she would have been encouraged to go to college, she would have been a lawyer. There's no
Yeah.
doubt in my mind, having worked in my career with lawyers, that my mom could have been a very good lawyer.
Oh, nice. And what kind of things would the family do together, or kind of things you would do with your mom specifically?
You know what? I just have memories of us doing a lot of things together as a family.
Mhm.
My mom did all the typical things, whether it was driving me to soccer practice, band practice, whatever activity I had. My mom, she used to joke, she was the taxi driver in the family. So imagine having four kids, all 4 years apart.
Oh
She
God.
probably was
Mhm.
driving around for 30 years, getting us to different events and stuff. But I think the thing I remember most is just as a family, probably going down to the shore, because my mom and dad bought a house in Belmar, New Jersey, a Jersey Shore community, very early in their marriage. I think they were married 6 or 7 years, and they bought a small little three-bedroom bungalow in Belmar. And I just remember
Mhm.
vividly going down to open up the house, because we'd close it for the winter, seal it shut and drain all the water out of the pipes and stuff. And I just remember the smell of that house, and it's a good smell, kind of musty, but a
Mhm.
good smell. I remember, we'd open up that house, and it would just be so exciting. We were kind of this. It was the spring, the winter was over. We'd go out and get A&C subs, and we'd have a picnic on the porch. The sun was out. It was the spring, and we were opening up the shore house. That's probably one of my more vivid memories of my mom and our whole family doing stuff together.
Yeah. And I hear today everyone goes down to the shore for the summer also. Like there's four houses and everyone kind of moves out there and spends time together for the summer.
Yeah, I kind of call it. You get a very high dosage of the Gerard family in a good way.
Yeah.
From the months of May through September,
Mhm.
because we do own four homes that are literally, 50 feet, 75 feet apart from each other.
Mhm.
And I just put a pool in the backyard of the house that I own, and it's kind of become the family collecting spot. So I'll look out the back window, and my nieces and nephews will be in the pool, and family will be sitting around, and it's been great.
And then I hear your mom's an awesome cook and she makes like meatballs and always dessert. And even when you were little, that she would do the same thing.
Yeah, no, like I said, we probably grew up in the Leave It to Beaver household. You'd come home for dinner, or they'd ring the inevitable bell for dinner, and you'd come in, and mom would have like a 5 course dinner. She
Oh.
wouldn't serve it in courses. It wasn't that
Mhm.
insane. But literally there was always like a chicken, a broccoli, a salad, a this, a that, and it was just all set up. And my dad was really big on having manners at the table. Sit
Mhm.
up and take your time eating, and how to eat properly and all that. And so I just remember, they make a big deal nowadays about spend time at the dinner table together. Well, we spent a hell of a lot of time at the dinner table, and my mom was a great cook. She did a bunch of different things, but of course, being an Italian mother, her hallmark was, spaghetti and meatballs
Mhm.
and braciols. So, to this day, she still makes a huge pot of meatballs and stuff on Sundays, and her kids and her grandkids just kind of shuttle in all day, just picking meatballs out of the pot and eating them.
And then I also hear like you kind of maintain that close family because I think your son said at his wedding that like he had to share his room or something like that. One of your sisters said like sharing
Yeah, I
rooms
mean,
is big. Hmm.
yeah, I mean, we grew up in Cedar Grove in a split level house, so it was a 3 bedroom. So you walk into the house now and you'd go, oh my God, this house is so small. But back then it wasn't, because that's the
Hmm.
size of homes, versus today. But my brother and I were in a room in bunk beds together. My sisters were in a room together, and my parents, those were the 3 bedrooms.
Hmm.
And I think what they're referring to is, although we had kind of a larger house, we lived in Pennsylvania for a couple of years. I had my sons both in the same room, and they could have pretty easily been in different rooms, in different areas of the house. But I wanted them to
Yeah.
grow up like I did, grow up, learning how to get along, learning how to wrestle with each other, and being close as brothers versus, sitting in the room on a computer or TV.
Yeah. And closing the door and living their own lives like separately. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and so what do you consider your mom's greatest accomplishment to be?
Oh, without question, it's her family.
Hmm.
It's the and it's two layers of family. It's the family of my dad, who passed away last year, and my
I'm
my
sorry.
3 siblings. My mom and dad just did an amazing job at raising a family that kind of understood the values of family and the values of hard work, and getting out there and making a living and being successful without being, berserk about it. And
Hmm.
my mom's extended family. My mom has sisters, and she had 2 brothers. She has one now, and she stays very close to them. She talks to them, I think, frequently and sees pretty frequently. So, I mean, we're kind of your classic North Jersey Italian family. Is, Easter, there were probably 47 people,
Hmm.
at Easter, if not more. Christmas was, the same 47 people, and you just packed into a house, big or small, cold or warm, and you just kind of enjoyed each other. So, I mean, my
Yeah.
mom's greatest accomplishment is her family and the values she instilled in us.
Yeah. And you said your accomplishment is your family as well. Is there a lesson your mom taught you or instilled in you that helped you achieve the family you have today?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a great quote the other day. I actually sent it to my kids, and it was something like, my dad never taught me how to live. He let me watch him live.
Mm.
And that's what I think my parents did. Is, they would, like any parents, they might lecture you a little bit about the importance of family, but as a kid, those lectures kind of go in one ear and out the other. It's the day to
Yeah.
day observing everything they do for family, every effort they make for family, and that just, you can't avoid that. I mean, not that you
Hmm.
want to, you don't want to avoid it. But so the greatest lesson was the day in and day out dedication to family and all the efforts, the highs and lows that takes.
Hmm. And today, what is your mom like? What does she like to do?
You know what? My mom has really fallen into a good groove in life. I'm
Hmm.
really excited to see where she is at, quote unquote, 80 years old. She's independent, probably fiercely so.
Hmm.
She probably could call or use help more than she's willing to ask for, but she's independent.
Hmm.
She lives in a beautiful 2 bedroom apartment in a senior citizen complex, and she's super active, whether it's the church, things going on in Cedar Grove, or other activities. When you talk to her, she's got something going on, every day, whether it's going to some function or having some cooking club or going to the casinos. My mom for 30 years now has loved to go to casinos and play slot machines like a maniac. So the simple point is, my mom's in a really good groove now where she's independent and really enjoying kind of the twilight of her life here.
Nice. And what's next? I mean, what do you hope to see for her future?
I would love to see my mom have more grandchildren and
Hmm.
even see some great grandchildren. My
Yeah.
kids particularly are getting married, and they're probably a few years away. But, knock wood, I'd love to see my mom holding grandchildren and maybe even feeding some great grandchildren some meatballs one day.
And I know your mom's birthday's coming up. Is there a message you like to say to her for her birthday?
I would just say I'd say, hey, mom, happy birthday. You are the absolute role model for a mom, a wife, a friend, a sibling, everything in life. You're just an absolute role model. You did it by showing us and doing the hard yards, not by talking about it and not putting in the effort. So you are creating and still creating a great legacy for the Gerard family.
And my last two questions, if your mom were listening to this a few years from now, what's a piece of advice you'd always want her to keep in mind? What's something you always want her to remember?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes asking for help is a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness. So as she gets older, if there's things that just aren't working or situations need to change, just ask. She's earned that right.
Hmm. And my last question, what's something about your mom that you always want to remember?
Uh just kind of a joy and a smile on her face. I think when she sees her kids and her grandkids, she just kind of smiles ear to ear. And that's how I'll think about her, now and in
Hmm.
the future, is just a big smile on her face when she was around her family.